Hello and welcome to Pop Screen, the podcast that has given up its divinity in order to podcast in the mortal world. We are that corner of the Geek Show that likes to look at the good, the bad and the preposterous of movies, either starring by or about pop stars. No, the podcast covers a broad range of musical and cinematic genres, from country and western to hip-hop, from documentaries to science fiction. I'm your host, Graham Williamson. I'm a filmmaker and video artist and regular writer for The Geek Show and Byline Times, and I've been joined this week by...
I'm Joe Miller. Hi, everyone. I write for The Geek Show sometimes. I do the Dreaming Machine podcast on The Geek Show about animation.
This is a classy film.
This is a very classy film.
We don't often do those on this podcast.
Yeah.
I think we've done good films. We've done a lot of fun films, but classy films are maybe an untapped resource.
Yeah, classy films and films that instill an existential crisis, like in me, which seems to be like existential, like lots of like very deep and complex film, I think.
I mean, I had an existential crisis after we watched Burlesque, but
yeah. It was interesting because the last film I did on the podcast with you was Sly Lives. And that was a lot about him as a figure and his impact on music, and about race relations in America and cultural impact. And this is I was watching this film. It's like a fantastic film. It's brilliant, but it's incredibly like deep and complex, and you could do a whole like philosophy degree about this one film. And I thought like
we've got to watch some dumb shit at some point.
Yeah, you gotta give me like the Smurfs or something. I don't know, like just something. The next one's got to be something incredibly simple, I think. Yeah.
Yes, this is Wings of Desire, which I think when people make their Wim Wenders best of lists on Letterboxd, this is usually duking it out with Paris, Texas for the title of his best work, I think. Not mine. I've got Wrong Move at the top of mine because I just like to throw you a curveball. But no, I think those two films are the cornerstones of his legend.
Yeah, like my favorite too as well. I saw that. I've seen a couple of other ones by him, like the one about that goalie, the goalkeeper.
Yeah,
like, I forget. It's got a very complicated title.
The Goalkeeper's Fear of the Penalty Kick.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like when I first watched this a while ago, I think Paris, Texas was my favorite. But then rewatching this has become my favorite film by him. Interestingly, but I mean they're both like fantastic movies. But I think it's a great film, and it's like kind of incredibly profound and interesting, but in not too pretentious a way, I think. So that's great. But it's also when I enjoyed it more the second time because I knew going into it what it was. Like I have that with films sometimes, like and so I was in the right mood and like headspace for it, and like so I think like if you enter into this mood, like I think it really like helps you enjoy the movie as well, I'd say.
And it's a hard film to know what you're getting into, like the first time you go and see it. It's very hard to encapsulate the plot of this film in a way that actually resembles the film you're going to see. You can say it's about angels. They're in Berlin. One of them gives up his angelhood in order to become human. But I think when you describe it like that, people picture a particular type of film that this isn't.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, do you remember what you expected before you first saw it? How you were challenged by it?
Yeah, and I was challenged by it first time. First time I bounced off it a bit. I didn't think it was bad, but I didn't really sort of put it as one of like my favorite Wim Wenders movies because I had a time where like I had a big Wim Wenders box set and I just like plowed through it.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't like it as much as Paris, Texas, or Wrong Move, or even some like quite obscure ones like Trick of the Light. I placed above it. But I knew that it had that plot nugget, and I knew that it was, a film about Berlin in the way that Wenders' films are often about a place more than they are about character. I think the degree to which it was about the place wrong-footed me. Like that sort of central plot dilemma of the angel renouncing his divinity really only sort of becomes important to the last act of the film.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Like it's almost like this the feeling of okay, let's like insert a plot here, like
Yeah,
just and wrap it up a bit, and it almost becomes not a romantic comedy, but like focuses more on that romance like subplot as well. But I think you're right. Like it's about more than that. I mean, I think when I was making notes, like I rewrote like 5 times like what the film was about, like literally during the course of the movie.
yeah,
Um, and but I think that's and it is like a love letter to Berlin. It really is. And like when I read about it after, I think it was like intended that way because he'd been in like America a while, and
yeah,
he's like, I want to do the Berlin, like West Berlin set movie, and it just has sense of like that sense of place, like, and it makes you think of like it's a bit cliched, but like Bowie and like Actung Baby and like that kind of artwork and
yeah,
graffiti and all that kind of stuff, and it's kind of like concrete misery in a way, but kind of in an enchanting way somehow. like in a way, it's like incredibly cool, you know?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he said, I have a copy of his book, The Logic of Images, at home, and he talks a bit about that feeling, as you say, of having been away from Berlin for a while and how that made him more eager to make a film in Berlin than he had been previously. He also felt, I think justifiably, when you look at his 70s and 80s work, that he had made quite a lot of films about someone returning to a city after a long absence and
mm,
didn't want to do another one of those. I mean, that's basically what Paris, Texas is about as well.
yeah,
Um, so he wanted to cut himself loose from that plot idea, and he couldn't figure it out until he was reading the German Romantic poet René Rilke and found a lot of angel imagery in it. And
yeah,
that's really where the angel thing comes from, because it's not. There's like a number of ways you can treat angels in film. Obviously, there's a religious one, if they're part of a religious narrative. And there's also kind of a romantic fantasy one. And this definitely isn't the first, and it manages to find a very odd roundabout way of sort of hitting the second.
yeah. I mean, I think when I first watched it, like I thought, oh, it's interesting stuff they're talking about. But what are the angels like doing? Like they're just like kind of
Yeah,
watching stuff and like observing like everything, no matter how major or minor it is. I mean, it, rewatching it, I realized it. The whole point of that being conflated with each other is kind of the point. But like,
yeah,
but it's like, but then rewatching it, I was less worried about like the mechanics of how angeldom like works. And and I read that an early draft of the script had an explanation for like this idea that the angels were like as a punishment that was sent to like West Berlin like, specifically to but it kind of like when you watch the film it just shows them just being angels and doing stuff, and like a lot of
yeah,
it is about understanding, and this sounds really lofty and pretentious, especially if you've not seen the movie, but it's like it is about like the nature of human existence,
yeah,
and about like recorded history and recording
yes.
images and film and like yeah. Anyway, Yeah.
No, that's good, because that, like, the crucial thing about the angels in the first sort of, particularly in the first half of the movie, is that they are the ultimate bystanders. They can hear everyone's thoughts, they can see everything that's happening, and yet they can't really do much to intervene. You know, it's I suppose the theology of it, in as much as it exists, is about that idea of omniscience and about how ironically isolating it would be to know everything about everyone.
Yeah, it's like you can access everything, but like yet nothing at the same time. Like it's
Yeah.
always from like a distance kind of thing. Um, and it's nice that like you see various angels, but focuses on these like the two main characters in particular, and like
Mm.
and
Damiel and Cassian.
yeah, um, and that urge to like connect more, and that's what sets in motion like the final events. But also like just like rewatching it, like the first 20 minutes is like incredible. How it just like jumps around people's
Yeah.
thoughts, and it does like because I've read and seen other stuff that's done it, and it never does it quite as well. Like at least in my experience, like it is like literally everything like really, and like it's not like I've read stuff where you think something inappropriate about someone else or something, and like that's a focus or whatever, or like
Mm.
honesty or
Yeah.
whatever, and it's not that pat or simplistic. It's like really minutiae practical stuff with like random like events from the past mixed with other stuff. There's an incredible shot on like on a plane, like going across up the aisle.
Yeah.
Um, he does a lot of these great like single shots. And I was thinking this as well about Wim Wenders, where like in my head he's got a very languid like filming style. Like I think
Yeah.
of Paris, Texas, especially like the ending and stuff like that. And I think rewatching it, I forgot he's actually quite a pacey, fluid filmmaker. Like
Yeah.
especially in this, like so it has like all these amazing tracking shots. He just has a very simple idea of going up this aisle with a plane with people from all around the world, like all lots of different backgrounds and stuff. And you can kind of see hints that they're all different based on like how they dress and what they're doing and things. But it's just
Mm.
hearing like the menagerie of like different thoughts and stuff is like it's just a simple yet clever idea. And I was thinking like you could just do like a whole movie, like just doing this in a way, and it'd be there probably is a movie out there that's done that, like as an experiment. But um, so I think the intrigue is just like that observation, and like,
Yeah.
and it as a film settles in, it becomes more like the limits of that and how like the angels yearn for more. Um, but at the start, it's just experiencing that, and it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I just thought it was really well done.
And it's a style that is obviously rooted in what is happening in the film, which is that, you have this story which immediately throws at you a massive concept of being able to observe and hear everyone's inner thoughts, and everyone being, observable to that degree. So it has these long tracking shots and these aerial shots to kind of give you the sense of just hanging back and having all of this come at you. And there's a lovely cut early on where I think it's straight after that aeroplane shot, where it cuts to a radio transmitter tower, and you hear all of the voices being sort of blasted out of that as well. You know, for all that it's a very languid, sort of melancholy, gently paced film in a lot of ways, it also has this sense of kind of modern overload, and the overload of the city, and of being around so much history and so many different people. Being one of these great cities is like a meeting point for people all over the world. That's also part of what's going on here, I think.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the Berlin setting, like the more and more I saw it, like that is so crucial to the film, and that kind of buzziness and like,
Mm,
and also like it has this there's a World War II like drama being filmed there, and there's a Berlin Wall like everywhere. I know like by the time they filmed, it was 87, wasn't it? It was like
yeah,
released then. So the wall hadn't like come down yet, but it was like kind of that sense of like his big historical events and like this idea of like crossroads maybe, and like
Mm.
and they talk a lot about, you know, why am I here, why are you there, like,
Yeah,
and like
why am I not you? Which I
yeah.
think is a really simple but really profound question. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it throws up all these like questions, and it is like disorient. Like if I can imagine someone finding it disorienting. It's kind of meant to
Mm.
be, um, but like, so that's really impressive. But I got what I liked about it was, I mean, it is pretentious to an extent because there's angels like talking about human history, like so by
Yeah.
its essence it is. But it's also, I got the feeling like it wasn't just like random. It's not trying to like show off and be like, oh, we've got all these big ideas. Like it feels like well researched and like there's a purpose to everything. It feels like it would have been absolutely exhausting to put the script together.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
whereas like there's other things I've seen where it, yeah, there's quite a lot of things that like pretend to be profound, but they're not really.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think one of the things that saves it from being pretentious is that it is such an emotional film. You know, it isn't a dry, theoretical sort of here's my research kind of a movie. It is arranged largely based on mood and based on, you know, feeling. And that comes through most clearly in the final segment where Bruno Gans's character, the angel Damiel, becomes human and enjoys really simple human pleasures like food and the music of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Yeah, no, indeed. Like, it's interesting. Like when Nick Cave and his band first appear, which is like it's like 1 hour. It's like about 2/3 into the movie, isn't it?
It's quite close to the end, really.
Yeah, yeah. It's like later than I remembered in the film, but
Yeah,
it's just like I know this isn't the point of what we're talking about, but it's so cool. Like it's just so
yeah, no,
it's
absolutely.
like if you lived in the late 80s, I think one of my notes was like if you're into like post punk, like that post punk era Nick Cave, and if you're into like hip hop, like you covered, like they're the two best
Yeah,
genres to be into, aren't they, at that time period?
yeah, yeah,
But it's just like there's this amazing like tracking shot. Um and yeah, it is interesting. Like you see him like kind of observing the crowd more than the actual band, like at that point.
yeah,
And they're all like really cool 80s Berliners, like doing these like cool, awkward, like
yeah,
uncool, cool dance moves.
yeah,
And Nick Cave just being his like really charismatic, like self, you know.
yeah.
Um, and it was yeah, it's very post punk era of the Bad Seeds. Like I felt like it was in the earlier stages, wasn't it? But
Yeah, the song that you hear the most of is From Her to Eternity, which was the title track of their first album. I think they'd already released their second by the time this was filmed, but even so, I mean, there's a lot of films where the choice of band that they have immediately dates it. But, you know, good on Wim Wenders for like getting right in on the ground floor of one of the most enduring bands of their generation.
yeah, an enduring band, but also that era of them perfectly fits Berlin, like at the same
Yeah.
time. Um, I think I've read that. Did I read that correctly? They were living in Berlin at the time, like the band.
I
When Nick
think they
Cave
might
was.
have been. I know the
Yeah,
other band that he goes to see, Crime and the City Solution, were also Australians living in Berlin. I don't
yeah,
know whether it just, you know, is it a thing after Bowie that anyone who's suitably intense and arty and is in a rock band thinks, right, got to move to Berlin. That's just the
yeah.
logical step.
No, it's really cool. Like, I just like I'm a sucker for like long single shots anyway. Like in any film,
Yeah,
I always think it's super impressive. But like it's just like yeah, it's just this lovely like floats over the audience and goes round um and it's just like it's just like you can tell like he spends ages like how he frames the shots and stuff and like you go on stage and um like one of the angels just stood right behind a band member or something. And it like comes back. It's just like these lovely like little planned moments,
Yeah,
and the music's great as well. Like I'm generally like more into like Nick Cave's like later stuff.
same. Yeah.
But like, I think for this era, like it's just like so cool.
I think there's like I can listen to any either of Nick Cave, but there's like a golden stretch of his work for me that goes, I guess, from the noughties to the mid 2010s.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that really like I keep returning to.
Yeah, it's like I respected more than like liked him when I was a like teenager, like
Yeah,
kid/teenager, and then like I think as a teenager, I think it was like MTV2, one of those like alt rock channels. They had Dig Lazarus Dig like on.
such a great song.
Oh, it's kick ass, isn't it? And like
Yeah,
I was like, oh, this I really like this. So I bought that on vinyl single, and then like I just paid more attention, and then the Push This Guy Away album, like and
that's yeah,
the films surround the films of that period. Like,
yeah,
I mean, I think was it 20,000 Days on Earth. Like, I think anyone who's into creative stuff, like, I always say there's two films you have to see. Is like that film and Whisper of the Heart by Studio Ghibli. Like, watch those two films.
yeah.
That's anyone who's like wants to create something. Like, so like those films really. So yeah, I think for me it's the same kind of period basically as you, Graham.
Yeah.
And then I've gone back to his older stuff like subsequently.
Yeah, I bounced off the earlier stuff at first. I think the first one I heard was Murder Ballads, which it's got a few good songs on it. Obviously, this version of Stagger Lee is great, but it's very sort of self-parodic. So
Right.
it's slightly consciously so, but it still gets on my nerves a bit. But straight after that, he was doing stuff like, I think it's the album straight after that, which had Into My Arms on,
Yeah.
which is obviously a terrific song. And I slowly sort of picked up a fondness from there.
Yeah. And yeah, I've not gotten to see him live yet, but you could just tell it would be. I mean, like all the reviews are amazing about him.
To the extent where, like, Rob and I watched the Andrew Dominic, is it? Yeah, it is Andrew Dominic. The documentaries he made about him
Yeah.
for an episode a bit back, and some of the newer albums, which I'm not particularly fond of, sound much better live, like
Yeah.
Carnage and stuff like that, which are on record are just a bit wispy for me. There's not much to hang on to. It's just like a guy reads poetry over a overloaded washing machine. Um, but yeah, live they absolutely kill. Live they're much more powerful, I think.
I mean, they really should like that description should be a song title or something like or in the press release or something. But anyway, I digress.
I feel like he would appreciate it. I think he'd find that funny.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like perfect for this film. Like it's
Yeah.
brilliant. Yeah.
And it's not the only piece of unexpected casting that we have here, is it?
Oh yeah, there's Columbo, right?
There's Columbo, yes.
It's like okay. I was reading that it was a Claire Denis who's the
Yeah,
assistant on this, and obviously became a big director in her own right. I think
mm,
I read that she was discussing with Wim Wenders about
Wenders.
like saying it needed a bit of lightness to it, and that led to his
Mm.
casting basically.
Claire
And
Denis is also like the person who told Denis Levant that he should cast Kylie Minogue in Holy Motors. I just love the fact that, as well as being an intensely serious art house director, Claire Denis also has this second career making novelty casting suggestions to the great filmmakers of Europe.
and what a great service she's offered.
Yes. And all of the stories about Peter Falk on set are just delightful, aren't they?
Oh, he seems like such a lovely like. I hope that's true. I hope I'm not like missing part of the history around him, but at
I
least
don't
like
think you have, no.
Yeah, he seemed like a really nice guy from what I've read. Like, I mean, I read that read a couple of things that they lost him one day of shooting just because he was so busy enjoying like being a tourist around Berlin,
Yeah,
and he even stayed later than he was meant to, just like because he was really enjoying the atmosphere and the place, and just in case they needed him.
yeah. No, that's completely true. And apparently he was won over when like Wenders called him and explained this whole concept to him, and even Wenders admits that it was a rambling conversation because he didn't have all this straight in his own head.
Yeah, yeah.
And Falk said, "Well, where's the script? Send me the script." And he just paused, embarrassed, and said, "There isn't a script." And Falk said, "That's great. I prefer it when there's no script. I'll
Yeah,
come. I'll do it."
yeah.
Of course, he'd done all of the, semi-improvised John Cassavetes films before he did Columbo. He was very well versed in improvisation and experimental film, despite having this, later having this incredible mainstream success that everyone remembers.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and like you can kind of tell that in the film, can't you? That he's just like
Yeah,
very comfortable and like really enjoying himself. Like, he just add the lightness to the film. I think it works. It's a little random, but it is like, but I think he's great in it. You know.
and I think the moment when he recognizes Daniel is like one of the real hairs on the back of your neck stick up moments in the film. I think that is really, really spine tingling.
Yeah, yeah. Like, and he's in on it. He understands it. In that scene, like where you can't get into, where the film, where they're doing the film, like you can't get in anymore because he's not an angel. Like they block him for it, and
Yeah,
he has a discussion through the fence. Like I think that's like, um, it's such a lovely conversation.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it was really good. But yeah, I've got so many like notes about this film. Like it's so hard to like. So I was just thinking like that's like the lighter side, but there's
Mm.
incredibly like somber, like incredibly deep things. Like there's a vignette about like the old man, like
Homer, yes.
yeah, and it had like some horrendous images of like conflict in it, which I think seem to be real. Like they
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they
inserted.
are.
So it had like and like the other scene with the biker like who'd crashed, like giving him some comfort, and
Yeah,
the person on top of the building, like I don't even want to describe that. It was like so horrendous, but like so it's like it just does like every. It really does try to cover like everything about human existence, the small scale and the big, and like these like turning point moments. And I think like I was writing about and obviously it focuses on the circus performer, um,
mm,
who like it seemed very deliberate that she's wearing angel wings too,
yeah.
and like complaining about it and feeling uncomfortable with them. Um, and like how he just like he connects with her really. Like
That's who he essentially renounces his divinity for, isn't it? Solveig Dommartin's character. And this is like, I guess, a part of where Wenders' approach to like not scripting things, just going in with a sense of the place and a sense of the characters really pays dividends, because all of that incredible circus imagery is really there for two reasons, and they both, I think, well, one of them certainly adds a lot to the film. It's there because Solveig Dommartin really did train as a trapeze artist in her
yeah,
early career. So all of those stunts that she's doing are real and they're not stunt double or anything. But also that one of the like cultural things about Berlin that Wenders remembered is that there were always a lot of circuses there because there were a lot of like big empty spaces where the bombs had hit and things hadn't been rebuilt. So it was fairly easy
wow,
compared to other big cities to just bring a big top in and set it up there.
wow. I didn't know that. That's really interesting. Like
Yeah.
kind of depressing, like in a way. Like that's what happened to the
But it's
city,
also
but
it's kind of the film as well, isn't it? That
yeah,
there's been this horrible thing happening, and life goes on, but the past is still there.
Yeah, like even like when the two like main angels like meet each other in the car,
Mm,
and they're comparing notes about what they've written down, like
yeah,
what they're comparing the notes about what they've written about what they've observed that day. And it's not like oh, I'm giving my mission report back to God. Like they don't even mention God like in the film.
yeah,
Like um so there's not an obvious purpose to it, but it's just like I don't know, it's just something like so powerful about just listing these like all these facets like human experience, and like they just
you get the
recording it.
feeling that that is kind of what Wim Wenders' film set is like, don't you? That you just have to keep your eyes open and observe a lot,
Yeah,
and eventually it'll feed back into the film.
yeah. It's a risky way to do it, but it just like works so well. I think is that it's yeah, I think it's like it has that lovely like vibe and atmosphere as we talked about, and that the actors are very like the angels like empathetic and like interesting with a couple of
Mm,
like qualifiers I'll throw in, which I'll talk about in a sec. Um, and there's a lot of like it's a very sympathetic view of like humans, like
yeah,
arguably, which maybe you wouldn't necessarily get if you have like people from outside observing humans. Like I think
mm,
a lot of the sci-fi I watch and things like that, that's quite critical. But like even when people make like bad decisions and things, it seems like very sympathetic, and they're even there to like put a hand on someone's shoulder or offer a hug or just
mm,
reassurance. Is it like earlier on? There's a guy on the tube or something who just seems like not like uncomfortable and unhappy, and
yeah,
he just goes up and like just comforts him like the small little bit of support
yeah,
kind of thing. I think the qualifiers are the relationship with the circus performer. It's weird to be in where like when she's sleeping there, like just like
yeah,
waltz in, like watch her undress, like cuddle her like like nighttime so she dreams about him. I was like, yeah,
yeah.
like that's a bit
I think
weird.
it's the qualifier is that at that point he cannot have any other kind of relationship with her.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's why it kind of gets away with it for me.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. And I think also um the other angel character, sorry, is it Cass? What's his name again?
Cassiel, I think.
Cassiel,
Yeah,
thank you.
Cassiel.
Um, I d- I couldn't quite tell. Um, you know, um, when like when he turned like mortal, like what Cassiel's like react response to that was, and if he was like
Yeah,
supportive of him. I don't. Maybe that was deliberate. Like,
yeah,
and he shows him like I think this might be my favorite shot of the movie. He's at a Nick Cave. I can't remember. I think it was the second Nick Cave performance or something. And he's against the wall, and there's like
mm,
and he just like turns to face the wall, like with his head buried into it.
yeah,
And it has like the lighting you get at a music show where like changes like three times. So it has like three of his shadows like just in a sequence, like just like
yeah.
really simple but really like cool and interesting. And I was like, like is he jealous? Is he supportive? Is he
Is he turning away because he's tempted? Yeah,
yeah.
or is he disgusted? You never really get closure on that,
Yeah, so it wasn't just me then. I was just
No,
interested. Yeah,
no, I think that's a deliberate ambiguity. I like to think that he's feeling tempted himself and he doesn't want to go through with it. But that definitely doesn't feel like there's one of those things where there's a definite answer to it. I mean, you
mm,
mentioned earlier on that Wenders did have this backstory for it, and it's an interesting backstory, and I'm also glad it isn't in the film. It can be
yeah,
both. Um, but the logic of the angels for him was that God wanted to disown humanity during the Second World War, and the angels who disagreed were sent to what was then the darkest place on earth, which is Berlin. And like I say, I think that works. I think it's powerful and interesting, but I'm really glad it isn't in the film.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, yeah, because you know, I often like sometimes we turn away from like films that don't have like a clear world building and rules, like, and it has like dream logic all the time. But I think this film's like the opposite. That is what it's about, kind of thing. Like,
Yeah,
what they're experiencing, and all the comments on humanity, and just enjoying like the characters and the way it's filmed. And I guess there's some well, of course, there's character development with the angels, and like
yeah,
also I want to call him Columbo. I know he has like a name, like, but he's previously gone through that kind of process. He was saying,
yes,
and like, so they obviously have like very obvious character development. But I think you know, the humans they like run into and stuff, and the the circus performers as well. So I mean, really bad with names in this podcast. Like, the main woman in it, what's her name again?
yeah, Marion.
Marion, thank you. So Marion, like, you know that scene where she's like in the circus dressing room and she's just like upset, like,
Yeah,
and she even comments like, "There's not even like an obvious reason why, but I'm upset," kind of thing. Like, I thought that was
yeah.
like really, really powerful.
And I think that's like part of the founding logic of the film, and part of the big reason why it works is that it is a film that is fascinated by people and is fascinated by what's hiding beneath people. You know,
Mm.
it is in its own way kind of, for all it's about the loneliness of omniscience. When you first see those big tracking shots with all of the voices, all of the inner monologues talking, there is a part of you that thinks, oh, yeah, life would be so much easier if I could do that. And it crops up in a lot of media after this was released, like most famously the video to Everybody Hurts by REM, which
Yeah, yeah.
even does it in a traffic jam. You know, the influence is very clear.
Yeah. No, I read that was like influenced by it. But
Mm.
it seems like it is just seeing it as well. I wrote down like, yeah, the random. I said randomness, but then I changed it to the chaos of human existence.
Yeah,
And like, because randomness implies like anything could happen, but then it kind of plays around with that and says, as you said earlier, Graham, like, why am I me and why am I not you?
yes,
It's like, is it random, or is it certain choices are like super important? Like in terms of history, like, there's a couple like, I don't know if there's a destiny, but there is a decision. Like, it was one of the quotes from it, like towards the end.
yeah. I'd forgotten that line.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a destiny, but there is a decision. Um, the labyrinth of shared happiness when being in a relationship. I think this is Marion like doing the hardest like first date I've ever seen. Like, like it's like, oh, let's get a drink. It's like, you must be complete to me. You must like be in this labyrinth of shared happiness. You must do everything. Like, it's just, I better say I agree. So yeah, it's a very intense first date at the end of the movie, like when they finally meet as immortal selves.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm teasing. It's like a brilliant scene. It's
yeah,
great. but but yeah, so like, I think there's and he doesn't give an answer. I don't think. I think that's kind of the
no.
point. But as said earlier, I don't think it's. But I don't think it means that in a late. It's definitely not a lazy film. Like, I think like
Mm,
I can tell there's been tons of like philosophical musings and like thinking about it, and that interest in like, but very empathetic for you, as you said, like interested in the human experience, as you say, Graham. Um, but yeah, it is like head spinning. Like, I think that's why
mm.
I enjoyed it more like the second time, like watching it.
In that way, it is kind of the opposite to Paris, Texas, isn't it? Because Paris, Texas is a very spare, very dialogue light film where a
Mm,
huge part of the kind of tension of Paris, Texas, and it is a kind of suspense, you know, even if it's hardly a thriller, but the kind of thing that keeps you watching is that you just cannot work out what's going on in Travis's head for the longest time.
Yeah.
And trying to unpick that is like the mystery. Whereas this overwhelms you with immediately being able to know what's in everyone's head, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't have much to add but I think you're right, definitely. And you're never quite sure where Paris, Texas is going, and also if it's well, it is a happy ending of sorts, but it's a very like conflicted ending.
Yeah.
Whereas this is completely different. Like it's all about like why they're there and what they're doing. Like it's very clear from the start, as you say. Yeah, so it was really cool. I mean, even like the show as well. That's the other thing as well. Like as part of like showing how the angels like work,
Yeah.
and they show that children like see them.
Yeah.
And I realize it's more like rewatching it. Like there's so much comparison of a child and adult view of the world, like throughout throughout the over, the people's thoughts and the monologues from the angels, and the voiceover like monologues.
Mm.
It's like a child sees this, like, and doesn't like I it doesn't maybe I'm not sure if doesn't question it is the right way to phrase it, but it's like they have like a more
Accepts it.
yeah like a more innocent view of the world and accepts more stuff. Yeah, and
Yeah.
implying that makes adds to happiness in a way, like potentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's. I mean, this might be wrong. I mean, I think the beauty of the film is there's a lot of there'll be tons of. I've read lots of theorizing around this too. Like
Yeah.
saying, someone said it was like a allegory for like split like Germany, like and it could be like for me it's like the that like all the challenges and complexities and difficulties like adult life can bring, like
Mm. Yeah.
like for better and for worse, like
I think the core idea of the film is that idea of division, whether that's a divided Berlin or just the division of not being able to communicate or not being able to see the world in the same way as
mm,
as other people. I think if there's like one central idea that knits all of the themes of the film together, it is probably that.
maybe, yeah,
And
or
in
maybe not,
trying,
who knows.
yeah. I mean, this is very much a film where you can watch it a number of times and you'll come away with a different impression of what it is and what it's doing.
Yeah, there is at least something in that. Yeah, I think that's
Hmm.
true. But also it does show the joy of coming together as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can't explore that theme unless you sort of work it through and show its opposite as well. Yeah.
And so maybe the happiness that comes from that communication and joining together and experience having that labyrinth of shared happiness, like as I said somewhere, like one of the
Mm,
quotes in the film. Um, yeah, I mean also but I know I've mentioned this before, but it is like really like well filmed. Like
yeah.
it's less language. Like rewatching it was like it's a much pacier, more mobile shot film than they gave it credit for. And the random jumps to color like nearly like shook me out my chair like when I first saw it. It's just like really
Yeah.
clever. um um I mean black and white like filmmaking like is awesome. Like it looks amazing, like generally. Like if you got a well shot film in black and white, it always looks stunning. But then like it's just like oh yeah, I mean the most famous example is Wizard of Oz, but like more films should do that really. Like you play around with the format and like add that
Oh,
to the
definitely.
experience.
Yeah. I think like modern black and white films always look so great because you can tell that everyone working on them is thinking, "Oh, we might never get a chance to do a black and white film ever again. Let's make this one count." Yeah, Henry Alakan, the cinematographer, and also Circus Alakan, where Marion performs, is named after him. He was hired because he was completely unfamiliar with Berlin, and Wenders thought that was like really necessary to marry up his kind of nostalgic view of missing Berlin with a total outsider's view of it.
Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah,
That's interesting. And like some of the like framing, like I mean the scenes in the library, like I
the
mean libraries,
library looks so great.
it looks great, but like sinister as well.
Yeah,
Um, the way it's filmed, like the epic scale of it, and
the massive hole in the middle of the first floor that it just sort of drifts down, the camera just drifts down into. Yes.
I mean, I was worried about like in the same way that when I watch like French like new wave films, I worry about the driving. Um, like I was worried about the health and safety on the film. Like one of
Yeah.
the angels like earlier on, like not the one of the main ones, is just sat on the balcony, like in
Yeah.
like about 3 floors up in the massive hall. I was like, I really hope they had the secret harness or something, or was it check like there's some other health and safety stuff. Like I mean the circus scenes freaked me out, and
Yeah.
I like there's a lot of like tracking shots from the top of roofs. Like, and I did read that there was like one shot was done by Wim himself, like when it Wim himself, like when it went across like from one rooftop to another, and
All right.
the camera operators was too scared to do it,
Wow.
so like he took over, and it was his yeah, it's just like the number of like high like tracking shots is like yeah, I'm worried about the health and safety of it, which obviously is a joyous way you should experience film, isn't it? Like
Yes.
worrying about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, just fill in a risk assessment every time you watch a film, and it'll really enrich your enjoyment of it. Listeners may be amazed to know that I have watched Werner Herzog films with you. I mean, if ever there was a director who's a health and safety nightmare, it's
Oh
Herzog.
man, I mean, like the problem is like you get those YouTube videos that just poke holes at like in the
Yeah,
most joyless way, and now I'm just adding to that. So I apologize to like society.
I
Like,
think
I don't want to be that person.
this is definitely a more interesting way of doing it than just sort of cinema sin shit. I would subscribe to your YouTube channel if it was just you watching The Wages of Fear and explaining that there's actually a much safer way to transport nitroglycerin than this.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's my hit YouTube series that's going to come out.
That's your fortune.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just what other notes did I have? Oh, yeah, yeah, the film sent me off in a very melancholy, introspective mood. So I was like, you should have a trigger warning at the start. I think, like, as a
May get you to think about some shit.
yeah. Oh, the other thing was like so it shows like real life footage of conflict and stuff. So
Mm, yeah,
I think the idea of states and borders and conflicts, like the kind of you mentioned division,
yeah.
like it may be the idea of like countries and like the Berlin Wall, like obviously being there, like it's a very
Mm,
visual like metaphor for that, isn't it? But I thought that was
yeah.
maybe a theme of it as well, like kind of a spin off of the division thing. Um, although, yeah,
Yeah, I think, obviously it's part of the film's attempt to explore what Berlin is and what it means. You've got that fabulous sequence later on where it cuts from like Wenders and Alakan's own like shooting out of a car window shots traveling through Berlin
yeah,
to footage of the like later days of World War II where the whole city's on fire
yeah,
and just like it's such a really simple cut, but it's devastatingly effective.
yeah,
It's one of those things where I think part of the reason why European cinema of like the late 20th century had such a reputation for being like devastatingly intelligent and produced directors like Wenders and Herzog and Bergman and Antonioni and all of the, great names of who founded a lot of what we think of as art house cinema,
is because they had to wrestle with this stuff.
I recently got Second Run's superb Zoltan Hazarek box set to review, and there's some of his short films in that, and there's one which is like a sort of, it starts off as a kind of whimsical little documentary, a kind of tour of Hungarian cemeteries. And then after a while, it does have to reckon with the Holocaust because, that's, some of the people buried there did die in the Holocaust. And that's a very Wings of Desire idea. I think the idea that all of this history is just there, if only you could see it.
Yeah, and there's so much like tragedy, like as you say, like in like I mean that's like one of the most like horrific examples of Holocaust, of course, but like the amount of like conflict and bloodshed and unhappiness and things, and or even just people that are going through difficult times, kind of thing. Like you see that in like Wings of Desire. It's just it is like there's not even anything to say about it. Is
Well, maybe like we should round this episode off with a line from it that I think is like the nearest thing to a thesis statement. And this is a wonderful film to make a thesis statement in it because there's so much chatter that you can just drop one in, and it won't sound clunky or heavy-handed. It's just one thought among many. But Homer, the old man in the library, who is kind of, I can't remember whether it's explicitly stated, he seems to be implicitly a Holocaust survivor, I thought, given where that footage of the Holocaust and of the war comes in the film. But he has this little sort of thought that the angels hear where he says, no one has so far succeeded in singing an epic of peace. And I think that's kind of the film's ambition. I think Wings of Desire is trying to be a great epic or a great opera that's about peace and connectivity and accepting life and coming together.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, Graham. Well, I think it's very empathetic with humans on an individual level, but it's actually very critical about like the way society's set up on like a broader, like macro level. I think maybe there are twin things going on, and it's like it doesn't need to be that way. It shows the power of like that kind of connection if you break down those divisions.
No, absolutely, and it was well timed in a couple of years after it was released. The border that the film shows the most did break down, and Berlin was reunited, and it remains united. That border, it turned out, was meaningless.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like a more optimistic prognosis for the future than the film we watched before this, which featured the Berlin Wall, where you and I did watch Possession last year.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the flip side to this. That's the worst case scenario of how this whole Berlin Wall thing's going to turn out.
Indeed. Yeah, it has this like it's incredibly like harrowing, like a lot of things the film shows, and it has that critical bite to it. But but it's just like it's also kind of like really like touching and sweet and like funny at times, and like so it's just it's just a great film. Like I think all that complexity is meant to be going on, as you say. I mean, I think to round off the episode a bit, which is like way less meaningful and like so I feel like it's tone deaf to really raise it. But like honestly, was this film remade with Nicolas Cage?
Yes, it was Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan, and set in Los Angeles, which I just feel like someone said in a pitch meeting, "Hey, you know what they call the City of Angels, and that's it. They got a green light based on that. I've never seen it.
I mean, I've let everyone, your podcast viewers, listeners, down by not watching this as part of my research. But like, it's just like, yeah, I feel like I need to. I can't imagine what it would be. Maybe it'll be. Yeah, it's just like it's not how I. Anyway, I was just
I
trying to get
feel
my head
like
around that.
when I said right at the start of this podcast that if you sort of say the basic idea of the film, you have the wrong idea. It gives you the wrong idea of what it will
Yeah.
then be like. I feel like that wrong idea was then faithfully adapted into the Nicolas Cage Meg Ryan version, which I can only imagine is like exactly like the false impression you would get from just describing the plot of this film.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Like, sadly, yeah. I do feel like I need to see it just out of pure curiosity for how
I have
this would even.
exactly the same vibe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who else
Anyway,
was in it? I feel like it may have had some slightly mad casting choices further down the list. Dennis Franz from NYPD Blue was in it.
okay.
No, not many sort of crazy casting decisions, to be honest. No.
Except Nicolas Cage, and Meg Ryan, but
Yeah, I wonder if Meg Ryan does her own trapeze stunts. Seems unlikely.
I mean, the other thing is the film ends with "to be continued." Like that also threw me for a loop. It's like, oh, like it's this very existential, philosophical film, and like you're saying the story's to be continued. Like, so that was interesting. And
I
have
think it works on that level, but Wentz did make a follow-up in the 90s, which I also haven't seen.
yeah. Well, I was about to say, like, I'm not. It's called a Stay like Far
Far
Away.
away, so close.
Yeah. I know the U2 Europa song named after it, but well, that's part of it. But I've not seen that either, so I'm interested to see
It's
that.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting to me that Wentz's 90s work is, I don't know, maybe it's been changing a bit recently. It seems to be the hardest stuff to get hold of. The only film from his 90s period I've actually seen is Lisbon Story, which is great. A really, really, really fantastic film that more people should watch. But yeah, there was a narrative for a while that after Wings of Desire, Wenders just fell off. But I think that's been that's been superseded now. He is a very uneven director these days, but every now and then he makes something that really connects with people. And I think if you go diving into his work, you will find those things like Lisbon Story and Wrong Move and Trick of the Light that no one talks about, but which are actually really good.
And that's, I guess, the unevenness like isn't surprising given his approach to filmmaking. You could argue,
Yeah.
like if it's about like not having a script, for instance, or or a fully developed script, or the kind of feeling and atmosphere, and or you mentioned they're bringing in a cinematographer who didn't have an experience with Berlin. So think about the like different personalities and things. It's like less like no movie making scientific, but it's like less like
There's not much to fall back on, is there, if things
yeah.
aren't quite working? Yeah. It's the same problem Wong Kar-wai had. For a while, Wong Kar-wai was just an alchemical movie maker. He just seemed to be
Yeah.
able to make classic movies by the seat of his pants. And then one day that went, and because there's no kind of theory backing it up, it's very hard to recapture.
Yeah, no, 100. I was reading well, this is a weird film to throw in. Like the Francis Ford Coppola documentary that came out recently, which I haven't seen yet, but I read
Megadoc.
about
Yeah.
Megadoc, thank you. And they had like George Lucas as a talking head, I think. Is it like he was saying I couldn't work like Francis Ford Coppola because he that was a great phrase he said, alchemical, like throwing elements together. And there was, like he was saying, I need Adam Driver back on like set today. I've got a different idea I want to try. It's like, well, he's doing something else. It's his day off. You can't just do that.
Yeah.
And Lucas was like, I have to pre-plan like everything, like going in. And like, a lot of their movies, like including Megalopolis, like get like 200 pieces, but it's
I was
just
going
like
to say, you
the
are
technique is
sort of,
interesting.
you are backing yourself into a corner here of saying that Wings of Desire is basically the megalopolis of the 1980s, aren't you? That's what you want us to take home from this podcast.
Let's be clear, that's not what I wanted to say. But I think it's alchemical filmmaking. Like, let's just stick with that and ignore that fact about in Megalopolis. But yeah, I think you throwing all these ingredients in and you kind of having an exploratory route to get to the end, and that's part the process is part of the point. So I imagine that's maybe why he's more uneven. Yeah, arguably, But I have to confess, I've not seen those 90s films you refer to, so that'd be good to explore, and I'd love to see the sequel to this as well.
Yeah, same. So, Joe, just give people a quick reminder of where they can find you online.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm part of the Dreaming Machine animation podcast, which is part of the Geek Show. We have lots of fun podcasts, videos, like deep dives, but also like quick guides to things that are spoiler free too. It's a lot of fun, and I sometimes write for the Geek Show about cartoons and games.
As for me, you can find me most often on the Geek Show Patreon, where I'm regularly reviewing the mythology episodes of the X-Files. That's all at www.patreon.com/The Geek Show, where you will also find a monthly bonus episode of this show. And the current one is, we don't know, because there's been like about 70 films released this month that would be absolutely pop screen perfect, and we are just really struggling to decide what we're doing. But we will have one out before the end of the month, because that's our contract with you, the listeners. We will be back in a couple of weeks' time with the first of our Halloween month. We've got 3 horror films lined up. Not quite sure which one's going out first, but at some point we'll be doing Trick or Treat. We'll be doing, hopefully, The Deliverance. I haven't quite got that one nailed down yet, not to be confused with Deliverance. And also Seed of Chucky, the Connoisseurs Chucky franchise entry. But until then, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time with more Pop Screen. But thank you for listening, and goodbye.